again. It's taken a long time. And the Cliff Notes version is, as many of you heard, I am an attorney, and I've had a few catalysts in my life that have led to major, major changes. The first one was actually when I was a kid. I was a performer on stage, and I decided at 18, when I said no to a Broadway audition, that I would not go into acting and singing, dancing for a living, and that instead I would become a lawyer. Because they're so related. But I think there were many reasons why I decided to do that, and not to belittle it. I actually loved the law. I loved reading about it, researching it. What I hated when I got out of law school was practicing it. And I actually was a practicing lawyer for 9 years, so it's not like I tried it for a few weeks or something. And I started planning my getaway from the law probably a good few years before I left. And I was trained, when I was a lawyer, I was trained as a professional speaker, and I was trained in conflict resolution as a facilitator mediator and as a career coach, because I was an employment, labor, and disability lawyer. And so I already had all these skills, and so it was sort of like, what will I do with all them? And when I first left my law career, it was after another major catalyst, 9/11. So my law office was the view of the Twin Towers of the Trade Center. And after that, I planned my getaway a lot quicker. And I left, and I became a professional organizer. Because when I found NAPO, the National Association of Professional Organizers, it's like not just a light bulb, it's like an explosion went off in my brain. Because all my friends, family, and colleagues would say, wow, you should organize and plan for a living. And I think I was rebelling from my smarty pants background. I was so sick of making decisions and heavy things. And so the first incarnation of my entrepreneurial life 10 years ago was as a professional organizer. And I loved that business and excelled at it, and was doing mostly hands-on organizing. And then what happened is, as many of you may notice, your clients actually expand your business. They expand your income streams. So they started saying to me, hey, could you come organize my office? Or we started coaching and consulting around bigger issues because they thought that they needed time management, but they really needed more time to work on their business, or needed more time to make life changes or change a career. So I started expanding and doing coaching, consulting, and naturally, because I am a professional speaker and that's something comfortable for me, I started doing more speaking, and then I published my book in 2010. And unfortunately, the next major catalyst was, as Michelle went through, my mother became very ill, and I lost her in February 2010. And I looked at my husband and I said, I need a change, and I mean a big change. And when I change, I don't just change a little. I change a lot. She really does it, yeah. So any good coach knows they should have a coach, and I knew I could do it better, smarter, faster, my entire rebrand, if I hired someone. And as a testament to the power of social media, I had never met Christine in person, but we had met on social media years ago, and realized we had a lot in common. We both have a husband named Sean, spelled the right way, S-E-A-N. We're huge Tori Amos fans. We're huge Bruce Springsteen fans. And this all sounds silly, but yet it made a huge connection. And then, of course, I watched her as a business person. And I was interviewing coaches, because the type of person I am, I needed to interview them. And I got her on the phone, and we were chatting. And I'll never forget what she said to me. And I can't remember if she said it on the phone or if she followed up with an email. And she said, I'd like to throw my hat into the ring. And just something about that, I liked that. And I'm sort of smarty pants, smart cookie, and I knew I needed someone with the smarts to match that, but also to push me, because what I needed to do was stripping down, getting rid of things to get to the core. I was like a blooming onion, and I needed to peel away, since I'm a multi-passionate person and entrepreneur, I needed to peel away what was no longer serving me. And I was doing a workshop for business owners, and I asked them, quick, if you could only work 2 days a week, what would you do in your business? And I almost always, and I'm sure she does this too, when you're doing the exercises, I do them myself, as you guys are sitting and doing them in my head. And then I said, if you could only work 2 hours a week, what would you focus on? And interestingly, I went to myself in my head, coaching, consulting, speaking, oh my God, I didn't say organizing. And so that's when I knew that I needed to completely rebrand my business. So I was speaking in Washington, D.C. at a conference, and Christine made this happen. She moved mountains to meet with me on a Sunday at the last minute in Philadelphia, here in Cherry Hill down the street, in person to do my first VIP day. And Interestingly, as soon as I made the decision, like you talk about ROI, I didn't even hire her yet for my 6-month coaching program. I went back for my VIP day and I booked a client at exactly the same amount of money that I was going to spend on her 6-month coaching program. Yeah. So I thought, like, thank you, universe, you know. So, and then I emailed her, and I think I even got another client on top of that. And I emailed her. I said, I already have the money. The issue became that I was moving across the country from New York to California. And again, as Michelle said, she was wonderful about saying, don't start this yet. Focus on some of your transition personally, and then we'll start up. So we started up in January of this year, and we coached privately for 6 months until June. And then I sold my house, moved across the country with my husband this summer. So it was just wonderful, wonderful timing for us. And we focused on a ton of things. And I had already done a lot of mastermind groups and group coaching and peer coaching. And so I really knew I needed a partner in my pocket that was available to me privately, intensely, that could work with me to really, really up-level all my programs and services and help me do the rebrand, which will be happening any day now.
Yeah, so awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And so what has happened as a result of our work together? You know, the big thing that was going on with you was to let go of things, right? Let go of the organizing hands-on. That was huge. So what has happened since then?
Well, it's interesting because a few things have happened, and one was I did, I think, something like four telesummits in the last year where I was a guest on high-level telesummits. So my list grew exponentially, and I also started coaching and consulting a lot more and saying no to all the other work, and that opened up my schedule for a lot more coaching consulting. And as far as the letting go, I am considered a leader of my industry, which I honor that privilege, and I'm glad to be one, but I realized that I was having some fears around letting go of my organizing colleagues and letting go of that industry because I am the moderator of the entire Ask the Organizer panel. And I thought, well, ironically, the organizer moderator is going to no longer be an organizer, but I am a business coach to many organizers, and I still run an organizing firm. And here's what I mean by that. There are so many people that want to go out and organize for a living but don't want to run a business. So I actually look at it as my decision to let go and move on has opened up the door for people who want to go out and do this for a living who don't want to run a business. So I now have organizing associates that I send out to do the hands-on work, and they're able to do this thing that they love, and I'm able to still run that part of my business. So I feel like I'm actually spreading the wealth in my industry and giving the business to them as opposed to taking it away.
I love how you say that so nonchalantly. Like, now I have organizing associates that I just send out and do the work. I don't do it anymore. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal because I remember saying to her, like, geez, you know, I'm going to be leaving this industry behind, and then I realized I can take it with me in a different way, and it is a huge shift. And I will be honest that that's not something I'm actively building and pursuing.
The problem is it's hard to put Lisa in a box. and that is a problem. I was doing too much. So for me, I had to strip down and let go in order to build. So it was let go to grow.
So what has happened to your income?
I made the most money I ever made in my business last year. This year, I've already surpassed, even though I took 2.5 months off to move and relocate, I've already surpassed what I made last year. And have the privilege of doing this amazing trip across country for 13 days, 13 states, 3,600 miles. That's like a blog post. And to be able to have the experience, as I remember she said to me, are you really going to take 2 months off? Because I'm a workaholic. And I said, yeah, I am. And so that was great too. I built my list a lot. And here's an even bigger issue that she helped me with. I didn't just build my list because we tend to think of building the list. I was also okay with people leaving the list. And that's a huge shift for me because I would personally look at every unsubscribe and go, why? Why? And I'd be like, you need to stop looking. But she said there are some, but they should go directly into a separate inbox or don't even get them. Let your VA get them. So the list built a lot. And then also in terms of exposure, I have started aligning myself and joint venturing with people online that I've always respected and loved, and did exactly the bold thing that she was talking about, I think, yesterday, where I just contacted them. And you never know, because they said, oh, I actually, listened to your teleclass. When you did. Or they say, yeah, I've been meaning to call you because we have a good message to align with each other. So, yeah, that was another thing, was just playing in a bigger sandbox.
Yeah. So, final words of advice for somebody who might be thinking about getting help, getting that support, but might be in that place of, I don't know, it's scary.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. As I said, because I am a coach and I've always reached out for help, that wasn't a big issue for me. I admit that because I was doing this huge relocation financially, and my husband was taking a huge pay cut to follow his dream, I know that for a lot of people the money is an issue. So not to belittle it, but whip it up. Actually make a goal and say, if this program costs X amount, I'm going to make that amount by this date, and what could I do to actually make that amount? And so, when I decided to come up with a high-level coaching program, I actually priced it at exactly what I knew I needed to make on purpose, and it came to me. So I would say that, and I know it's cliche and we hear it all the time, but you can't expect your client base to take you seriously and invest in you if you can't look them in the eye and say, I've invested in myself and my business at that level, and I can see what it's done for me. And I remember emailing her a few months in, and I said to her, the results that my clients are getting are extraordinary, and I know that it had a lot to do with the fact that I invested at that level with her.
Thank you. Give her a big hand.